Good morning, boys and girls, and welcome to math class. We are on Area and Perimeter, Chapter 11, and we're going to be on Lesson 11.2. If you would please open up to page 631. All right, so let's get started. All right, let me get myself up in the corner here. Okay, so we started talking about finding perimeter yesterday in 11.1. So we've talked about estimation, and estimation is a really great educated guess based on math tools. So we know that we can measure things using different parts of our body that can help us to figure out how big something is without actually using a ruler. So it says, how can you measure the perimeter? You can estimate and measure perimeter in standard units such as inches and centimeters. Inches and centimeters, if we were using a ruler, that would be a standard unit of measurement. So another way we can measure something is using a non-standard unit of measurement. So that would be like using your finger from the tip of your thumb to your knuckle. That would be an inch. If you used your pointer finger from one end to the other end of the nail, that would be a centimeter. Okay, so if you put your arms out a whole width, that would be a meter, and if you looked at your foot to your hip, that could be a yardstick. All right, so there are standard and non-standard units of measurement. There's customary, which is what we use in the United States, and then there's the metric system. So there's lots of different kinds of measurement. All right, so this is how can you measure perimeter. So it says find the perimeter of the cover of a book. Well, I think we need to remember what perimeter is, and perimeter is the distance around something. So it would be like using a fence to measure the outside distance around something. So remember, perimeter is the distance around something. So that would be like the wallpaper or a fence on the outside edging of whatever it is you're measuring. So it says find the perimeter, the cover of a notebook. So you could use the cover of your math book if you didn't have a notebook. So it says estimate the perimeter of the notebook in inches and record your estimates. So if you were using your math book, you could take your math book and you could take your finger and you could use the tip of your thumb and measure. So there's 1 inch and then move it over 2 inches and then keep a log as to where you're measuring and where you're stopping so that you can measure how many times you have to put your thumb across. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So mine's about 8 inches. Now, obviously, my thumb, the tip of my thumb to my knuckle is larger than yours, okay? So I'm going to put 8 inches here. So I would put 8 inches, okay? And then I would actually measure it. All right, so hopefully you are able to measure. So if I took and I were to take this and measure across, you would see that that's right on the edge. So there's 5 inches, and then I'm going to have to make a little mark on my book so I can tell where I put. Then I need to move this over here, and look at that. 5 inches to there, and then 5 inches to there. So my book, when I actually measure it, it was not 8 inches, it was 10 inches. Okay, so use an inch ruler to measure the length of each side of the notebook to the nearest inch. So I saw that it was not exact, it was 10 inches instead of 8 inches. But my 8 inches was a really good estimate. That was not too far off. So remember, an estimate is based on some sort of mathematical or some sort of prior knowledge. You don't just like guess out of thin air. You just don't say, I'm just going to pull the number 22 out of thin air and say, this book is 22 inches across. Because if I look at my thumb and I look at how big that is, and I think about putting it across, 22 is a very large number. So I have to use some knowledge that I have, some prior knowledge. All right, so then we're going to go down here and it says, record and add the lengths of the sides measured to the inch. So we have, up here, we have 10 across. So if that is 10, go to the bottom of your book, and we know that the rules of a rectangle would be that if the top is 10 inches, then the bottom is 10 inches. So we know perimeter is length plus width plus length plus width, because we have the top length, we have the bottom length. Now we have to do the width, so we have to measure going down. So I'm going to take my ruler. Got to grab my tool here. I'm going to take my ruler and I'm going to twirl it to the side. Oh, I need to go this way. All right, and I'm going to put it up here on the edge. So if I mark that with my pen from the tip to the edge here, all the way down to here, well, there's 5 inches. So then I need to grab my ruler and I need to slide it down to my line that I made, and I have to make another line. So I hope you guys are doing this as I'm doing it. Then I have to, so there's 5 plus 5 is 10, and then there is, look at that, 11, 12, and it looks like about 13. Okay, I'm going to round because I know if I go halfway in between the 2 and the 3, 2.5 is right here. And it's past the 2.5, so I'm going to go to the 3. Looks like it's, oh wait, yeah, that's past the 2.5. There's 2.5, and there's my 3. And there's where the book is. So it's past 2.5. So I'm going to go to 3. So it's 5 plus 5 is 10 plus 3 is 13, which makes sense that it would be bigger than 10 because if you look at the top, this is shorter than this side. So this is 10. So I'm saying this is 13. And if that side's 13, this side has to be 13. Okay? So we're going to put right here plus 13 plus 13 because we know that perimeter is length plus width plus length plus width, because the perimeter is the distance around. So since perimeter is the distance around, it's length plus width plus length plus width, because it goes the whole way around. Perimeter is the distance around. So we could do 10 plus 10 is 20, plus we know this is another 10 plus 10 plus 3 plus 3. So we could do 10, 20, 30, 40 plus the 6 is going to equal 46. And it's 46. I don't know why it's not writing. Let me see why I'm not writing here. Is 46. There you go. And it said inches, so we have to write down our inches. Okay? All right, so it says find the perimeter. Use an inch ruler to find the perimeter. So we are going to grab our ruler again, and we're going to measure this together. Ooh, my ruler's going crazy. Okay, so we're going to move our ruler over, and it says use an inch ruler to find the length of each side. we put it on the edge. We start with the 1 inch and we go 1 inch, 2 inch, and you can see it's right there a little bit before the half. So we're going to write 2 inches, and we know if it measures 2 inches on the top, it measures 2 inches on the bottom, and then we have to turn our ruler and use the measuring, and you can see from right there to right there, it's about 1 inch. So it is 2 inches plus 2 inches plus 1 inch plus 1 inch. So we should be able to write our numbers. So we have 2 inches, we had 2 inches, we had 1 inch, and we had 1 inch. So we know area is length plus width, so we're going to do 2 plus 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5, plus 1 is 6. So we have a total of 6 inches. So I hope you're filling in your boxes. It's a little harder for me to write with my pen. All right, so our next one, this is centimeters. So we are going to measure in centimeters. So remember, we know that perimeter is the distance around. So now we're going to use centimeters. So if you look at this, this looks like a square. So if we measure using centimeters, there's 3 and there's 3. So we know this is 3. And then we're going to take this and we're going to turn it and make sure that it is an actual square. And we are going to measure. And if you look right there, there's 3 and there's 3. So it is a square. So that's great. So now we know that we have to write down all of our sides. So we have 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3. So our perimeter is length plus width. Perimeter equals length plus width. So our perimeter is 3, 6, 9, 12. So we have, our perimeter is 12. So we're going to move on to our next page. Okay, so it says find the perimeter of the triangles in inches. So let's get our ruler here. All right, so there's our ruler. So you can see it's really big. So what I did was I shrunk this until it was the size of my thumb to the knuckle. Okay, so this is in inches. So we have to turn it on its side, put it right over here, and you can see that it is about 1 inch. And you can see that is an equilateral triangle. So you can see that it is 1 inch on every side. So I know that we are rounding to the nearest inch, so you can see that they are all 1 inch because it's an equilateral triangle. So our perimeter is 3 inches. All right, so now we're going to go on and we are going to measure in centimeters. So we have to get our metric ruler out. There's our metric ruler, and you can see that it's pretty big. So what I did was I shrunk it until it was the size of from one tip of my fingernail to the other tip. So then we're going to measure, and we can see that we line it up, and that's 4 centimeters on the top, which means it's 4 centimeters on the bottom. And because it looks like a square, but let's just make sure it is a square. We have 4 on the top, we have 4 on the bottom, we have 4, oh we don't, we have 3. So it is a rectangle. So we have 4, 4, 3, and 3. So we know that perimeter is length plus width. So you're going to take 4 plus 3 plus 4 plus 3, and you can see that that is 7 plus 7, so you have a total of 14 centimeters. Wow, how cool is that? All right, so we're going to have a shorter lesson today due to the fact that I'm not sure if you all have centimeter and if you have rulers, if you have inch rulers or centimeter rulers. So we're just going to do a couple more of these, and then we're going to watch our share and show, and hopefully you'll be able to do some of these on your own if you have the tools. Otherwise, you can make a tool because you know that from one side of your finger to the other is a centimeter, and you know from your thumb, you know that 1 inch is from the tip to your knuckle. So you might be able to make a ruler. All right, so let's measure this. You can see here on this side that we have 2 centimeters, 2 right here. And then we're going to have to turn it. And this is a lot of work, I know, and it takes a lot of time. So that's why we're only going to do a couple. This video is going to be long, even though we're not getting a lot of work done. So there, that one's 3 centimeters. Now we know perimeter is the distance around, so we have to go all the way around using our ruler, which likes to go crazy on me. So that is 4 on this side. I'm sure this is much easier for you if you have a ruler. And then we'll measure this side. This side looks like it's 3 centimeters. And then we can just tell that's 1 centimeter. All right, so we know that perimeter equals the length plus the width. And we know that perimeter is the distance around, so it doesn't matter how many sides it has. It matters that you go from one side all the way around until you get to the beginning that you started at. That is perimeter. It is the distance around the entire shape. So we're going to start at the number 1, and it's 1 plus 2 is 3, plus 3 is 6, plus 4 is 10, and plus 3 is 13 centimeters. All right. So we're going to go to our share and show, and we're going to see if we can't have a great video for you guys to watch about perimeter. All right, so it looks like the video is thinking. The internet's going really slow today, so hopefully it'll work.
Okay, let's see. I'm going to plant this one here. And oh, hey, I was thinking about where I'm going to plant my fixed flower and my moving flower. Moving flowers are fun because they keep moving. Have you ever seen this before? This is great. It's a moving flower. Now, this actually reminds me, though, of Erin, who is actually producing a square garden, and she wanted to fence the garden in. Let's put my moving flower down. It's on the move. And take a look at Erin. So Erin's putting a fence around her square garden. Now, each side of her garden is 5 meters long. The fence cost $4 for each meter. The challenge for us, how much will a fence cost? Well, one thing to do is to see if we can actually just model it with a little picture. So we have a square garden. So here's a square garden. And we're told that each side is 5 meters long. So if we write that in, that means that this side is 5 meters long. M means meters. 5 meters is the length of this side. And at every side, that's what a square means. Every side has the same length, 5 meters. So I can write that like that. Now, how much fence will we need? Before we figure out the cost, let's just figure out how much fencing. Well, that's going to be the length around. And that, of course, is perimeter. So we want to find the perimeter of this square. And how do you find the perimeter of a square? You want to add up the lengths of each side. So this is actually going to be really straightforward. It's just going to be 5 plus 5 plus 5 plus 5. And 5 plus 5 is 10, plus 5 is 15, plus 5 is 20. And the units here are meters. By the way, classic mistake would be to say, oh, square meters. Remember, square meters, that's only for finding area area of things because you have meters times meters. Here we're adding up meters. If I've got 5 meters and I add 5 more meters, I now have 10 meters. So it's still meters. Okay, so the answer is 20. Yay, yay, we're done, except we got the wrong answer. Because the question is, how much will the fence cost? We know we need 20 meters of fencing, and we're told that the fence cost $4 for each meter. So I've got to look at $4 for each meter, and I have 20 meters, so that becomes a multiplication riddle. Isn't it interesting how all these ideas come together? I have to take 20 times the $4 it cost per each meter. And what is 20 times 4? Well, 2 times 4 is 8, and here I actually have 20, so that's going to make it 80. I have 8 tens. And so that's $80. So notice the units change now to dollars because that's exactly what the cost is. It's $80. And so the cost of the fence Aaron's putting up is going to be for their garden is $80. So how do we find the cost? We first figured out the perimeter, which is just to add up all the lengths of all the sides of the shape. And then once we know how much we need and we know how much it costs per unit, we just multiply, and the product is, in fact, the exact amount. So it's great to realize that perimeter is so important, whether you're actually planting regular, boring, fixed flowers or my favorite, moving flowers. Moving flowers. It's almost as moving as mathematics. Have fun.
Okay, so hopefully that video worked. So we are going to get started on skipping down past the 2 because it says use your own ruler. So we're not going to use a ruler because I don't know how many of you have a ruler. So what we're going to do is we're going to get started on the model mathematics. It says use the grid paper to draw a figure that has a perimeter. Remember, perimeter is the distance around of 24 centimeters. So if you look at the grid paper, each one of those little squares is 1 centimeter. So we're going to do the distance around. So the first thing I do is I think to myself, okay, 24 divided into 4 because I am going to make a figure that has a perimeter. I know perimeter is the distance around. So I'm going to divide it into 4 sides. So 24 divided by 4 is going to give me 6. Okay, so 6 times 4 is 24. So I'm going to do something that has an edge of 6. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So then I have to go across 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then I go across 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and down 6. So you can see that I created, hopefully, a square. So if I put in my numbers, I would say going down 6, across 6, down 6, and across 6. And I know that area equals, I'm sorry, not area, perimeter. Perimeter equals 6 plus 6 plus 6 plus 6 equals. So 6 plus 6 is 12, plus 6 is 18, plus 6 is 24. So my perimeter equals 24. Does everyone see how I did that? Perimeter is the distance around the outside. So this was 6, this was 6, this was 6, and this was 6. So all you have to do is add up the sides, and that is your perimeter. Okay, so we're going to move on to the next page, and it says, use the photos. They've already given us the distance around. They've measured it for us, so we can do this one together. And it says, which of the animal photos has a perimeter of 26? So we have to add up our sides. So we know 5 plus 5 is 10. So that would be 10. And then we add up the other two sides. 8 plus 8 is 16. So 10 plus 16 equals 26. So that would be 26 inches. Okay, so let's do this other one over here. So we know perimeter equals, and we have to add up the sides. So I'm just adding up 7 plus 7 because we know 7 plus 7 is 14. And then we're going to add the other two sides, which is 4 plus 4, which is 8. So we know that 14 plus 8 equals, the perimeter would equal, 8 plus 4 is 12, and we would carry the 1, and 1 plus 1 is 2, so it would be 22. Okay, so perimeter equals 22 inches. Well, it says which of the animal photos has a perimeter of 26? Okay, so 26 was the first one with the bird. Okay, how much greater is the perimeter of the bird photo than the cat photo? So now we're going to compare. So we're looking at 22 and 26, and what is the distance or the difference between 26 and 22? And you are correct, that would be 4 inches. Erin is putting a fence around her square garden. Each side of her garden measures 3 meters long. Of $5 for each meter. How much will the fence cost? Well, first of all, if you draw a picture, and we know that each side of her garden measures 3 meters, and they said it's a square. So if I draw a square, and I put on each side 3, so I know this side is 3, I know this side is 3, this side is 3, and this side is 3. So we're putting, each side of her is 3 meters. So 3 times 4 is 12. Okay, so it's 12 meters around. The fence costs $5 for each meter. So that is going to give us a math problem of 12 times 5. Okay? So we should be able to tell what 12 times 5 is. Let me get that back under there. So 5 times 2 is 10. Carry the 1 right here up above. So 5 times 2 is 10. Carry the 1. 5 times 1 is 5 plus 1 is 6. So you should see that you are going to spend $60 for those 12 meters of fence because it's $5, $10, $15 here because it's 3 meters at $5 a piece. So there's 15, 20, 25, 30. So if it's $30 for 2 sides, it must be $30 for the other 2 sides because this is $5, $10, $15 for that side and $5, $10, $15 for that side. So 30 plus 30 is 60, so it's $60. Okay, so we're going to move on to, we're going to go past the right. Like I said, this is going to be a quicker lesson today. This one says, use a ruler to find the perimeter. We're not going to do this. Okay, Evan has a square sticker that measures 5 inches on each side. So if we have a square sticker right there, and it's 5 inches on each side, so it's 5 here, 5 here, 5 here, and 5 here, hopefully you're seeing that it is perimeter equals 5 plus 5 plus 5 plus 5, and then you should be able to see that the perimeter equals 5, 10, 15, 20. So perimeter equals 20, and you have to look at it, it's inches, okay, because perimeter is the distance around. So we went from this corner and we went straight across from here to here, and that was 5, and then 5, and then 5, and then back up was 5, and perimeter is the distance around, so it would be 5, 10, 15, 20. So your perimeter is 20. So if you draw a shape that has 6 sides, so that would be a hexagon. So let me see if I can find a hexagon for us. Where's my 6? Here's a hexagon. Okay, and each side is 3 centimeters. So we have 3 on each side. Okay, what is the perimeter of the shape? So it would be perimeter equals 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3. So your perimeter would equal 3 6 times, and we know 3 times 6 is, you are correct, you would get 18 centimeters. All right, so down below, use an inch ruler. We cannot do that. We're going to go to the spiral review, and it says, what is the perimeter of the shape below? So this one is already in centimeters. You can see that. And perimeter is the distance around. So we're going to count starting here. So starting here, that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So all the way around, that would be 20 centimeters, because we know each of those stand for centimeters. And we know perimeter is the distance around. We're going to go on to number 4. We've done time. So Vince arrives for his trumpet lesson after school. The time shown on the clock. What time does Vincent arrive for his trumpet lesson? Hopefully you are drawing out your hour right there, and you circle your lower hour, which would be 3. Okay, and then skip count around, and the 5 stands for 25 plus 1, so it would be 326. Matthew's small fish tank holds 12 liters. His large fish tank holds 25 liters. It says how many more. So your key word there is how many more liters does his large fish tank hold. So now you know that you are comparing. So you are comparing the difference between 25 and 12 because it says how many more. So hopefully you are knowing that you are subtracting 25 and you are subtracting minus the 12. Okay, and those should be lined up, and you should be able to see that you can take 5 minus 2 is 3 and 2 minus 1 is 1, so it would be 13 liters more. And then compare, right, greater than, less than, or equal to 1/6 and 1/4. Well, think to yourself, do you want to share a candy bar with 4 people or 6 people? Think of the sizes. So which one would be bigger pieces of the candy bar? 4 or sharing with 6 people? You are correct. 1/4 definitely would be bigger. So you would make your greater than sign right here. Hopefully it'll look like a greater than sign. There you go. All right. I'm so sorry that this lesson was a little bit different than our usual lessons because I'm not sure who has the metric ruler or who has a customary ruler with inches or the metric unit with centimeters and millimeters. If you have them, please go ahead and do all the lesson. That would be great. The more you practice, the better you're going to be at measuring. Perimeter is the distance around something. I hope you have a wonderful day. Take care, and I miss you all.